Salient features of the Constitution. The Indian Constitution is unique in its contents and spirit. Though borrowed from almost every constitution of the world, the Constitution of India has several salient features that distinguish it from the constitutions of other countries. It should be noted at the outset that a number of original features of the Constitution, as adopted in 1949, have undergone a substantial change on account of several amendments, particularly 7th, 42nd, 44th, 73rd, 74th, 97th, and 101st Amendments. In fact, the 42nd Amendment Act 1976 is known as mini constitution due to the important and large number of changes made in it in various parts of the constitution. However, in Keshav Nanda Bharti case 1973, the Supreme Court ruled that the constituent power of Parliament under Article 368 does not enable it to alter the basic structure of the Constitution. Salient features of the Constitution. The salient features of the Constitution added as it stands today are as follows. First, lengthiest written constitution. Constitutions are classified into written, like the American Constitution, or unwritten, like the British Constitution. The Constitution of India is the lengthiest of all the written constitutions of the world. It is a very comprehensive, elaborate, and detailed document. Originally 1949, the Constitution contained preamble, 395 articles divided into 22 parts, and 8 schedules. Presently 2019, it consists of a preamble, about 470 articles divided into 25 parts, and 12 schedules. The various amendments carried out since 1951 have deleted about 20 articles and 1 part 7 and added about 95 articles, 4 parts 4A, 9A, 9B, 14A, and 4 schedules 9, 10, 11, 12. No other constitution of the world has so many articles and schedules. Four factors have contributed to the elephantized size of our constitution. They are geographical features, that is vastness of the country and its diversity. Historical factors, example influence of the Government of India Act of 1935, which was bulky, single constitution for both the center and the state, dominance of legal luminaries in the Constituent Assembly. The Constitution contains not only the fundamental principle of governance but also detailed administrative provisions. Further, those matters which in other modern democratic countries have been left to ordinary legislation or established political conventions have also been included in the constitutional document itself in India. Second, drawn from various sources. The Constitution of India has borrowed most of its provision from the constitutions of various other countries as well as from the Government of India Act of 1935. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar proudly acclaimed that the Constitution of India has been framed after ransacking all the known constitutions of the world. The structural part of the Constitution is, to a large extent, derived from the Government of India Act of 1935. The philosophical part of the Constitution, the fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy, derive their inspiration from the American and Irish Constitution, respectively. The political part of the Constitution, the principle of the political part of the Constitution, principles of cabinet government and the relations between executive and legislature have been largely drawn from British Constitution. The other provisions of the Constitution have been drawn from the Constitution of Canada, Australia, Germany, USSR, now Russia, France, South Africa, Japan, and so on. The most profound influence and material source of the Constitution is the Government of India Act 1935. The federal scheme, judiciary governors, emergency powers, public service commissions, and most of the administrative details are drawn from this act. More than half of the provisions of Constitution are identical to or bear a close resemblance to the Act of 1935. Third, blend of rigidity and flexibility. Constitutions are also classified into rigid and flexible. A rigid constitution is one that requires a special procedure for its amendment, as for example, the American Constitution. A flexible constitution, on the other hand, is one that can be amended in same manner as the ordinary laws are made, as for example, the British Constitution. The Constitution of India is neither rigid nor flexible, but a synthesis of both. Article 368 provides for two types of amendment. A. Some provisions can be amended by a special majority of a parliament, that is, two-third majority of the members of each house present and voting, and a majority of total membership of each house. Some other provisions can be amended by a special majority of the parliament and with the ratification by half of the total states. At the same time, some provisions of the constitution can be amended by a simple majority of the parliament in the manner of ordinary legislative process. Notably, these amendments do not come under Article 368. Fourth, federal system with unitary bias. The Constitution of India establishes a federal system of government. It contains all the usual features of federation with two government, division of powers, written constitution, supremacy of constitution, rigidity of constitution, independent judiciary and bicameralism. However, Indian constitution also contains a large number of unitary or non-federal features with a strong center, single constitution, single citizenship, flexibility of constitution, integrated judiciary, appointment of state governors by center, all India services, emergency provisions, and so on. Moreover, the term federation has nowhere been used in the constitution. Article 1, on the other hand, describes India as a union of states, which implies two things. One, Indian federation is not the result of an agreement by states, and two, no state had the right to secede from the federation. Hence, the Indian constitution has been variously described as federal in form but unitary in spirit, quasi federal by Casey Were, bargaining federalism by Morris Jones, cooperative federalism by Granville Austin, federation with a centralizing tendency by Ivor Jennings, and so on. Parliamentary form of government. The Constitution of India has opted for British parliamentary system of government rather than American presidential system of government. The parliamentary system is based on the principle of cooperation and coordination between the legislative and executive organs, while the presidential system is based on the doctrine of separation of powers between the two organs. Parliamentary system is also known as Westminster model of government, responsible government and cabinet government. The constitution establishes the parliamentary system not only at center but also in the states. The features of parliamentary government in India are presence of nominal and real executives, majority party rule, collective responsibility of executive to the legislature, membership of ministers in the legislature, leadership of prime minister or chief minister, dissolution of the lower house, Lok Sabha or assembly. Even though the Indian parliamentary system is largely based on British pattern, there are some fundamental differences between the two. For example, the Indian parliament is not a sovereign body like the British parliament. Further, the Indian state has an elected head republic while the British state has a hereditary head monarchy. In a parliamentary system, whether in India or Britain, the role of the prime minister has become so significant and crucial that the political scientists like it to call prime ministerial government. Synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. The doctrine of sovereignty of parliament is associated with the British Parliament, while the principle of judicial supremacy with that of American Supreme Court. Just as the Indian parliamentary system differs from British system, the scope of judicial review power of the Supreme Court in India is narrower than what exists in US. This is because the American Constitution provides for the due process of law against that of procedure established by law contained in the Indian Constitution Article 21. Therefore, the framers of Indian Constitution have preferred a proper synthesis between the British principles of parliamentary sovereignty and the American principle of judicial supremacy. Supreme Court, on the other hand, can declare the parliamentary laws as unconstitutional due its power of judicial review. The Parliament is, on the other hand, can amend the major portions of the Constitution through its constituent power. Seventh, integrated and independent judiciary. The Indian Constitution establishes a judicial system that is integrated as well as independent. Supreme Court stands at the top of the integrated judicial system in the country. Below it, there are high courts at the state level. Under a high court, there is a hierarchy of subordinate courts, that is, district courts, and any other lower court. This single system of courts enforces both the central laws as well as the state laws. Unlike in USA, where the federal laws are enforced by the federal judiciary and the state laws are enforced by state judiciary. Supreme Court is a federal court, the highest court of appeal, the guarantor of the fundamental rights of the citizens and the guardian of the Constitution. Hence, the Constitution has made various provisions to ensure its independence, security of tenure of judges, fixed service conditions for judges, all the expenses of Supreme Court charged on the Consolidated Fund of India, prohibition on discussion on the conduct of judges in the legislature, ban on practice after retirement, power to punish for its contempt vested in Supreme Court, separation of judiciary from executive, and so on. Fundamental rights. Part 3rd of the Indian Constitution guarantees 6 fundamental rights to all citizens. Right to equality, Article 14 to 18. Right to freedom, Article 19 to 22. Right against exploitation, Article 23-24. Right to freedom of religion, Article 25 to 28. Cultural and educational rights, Article 29-30. And right to constitutional remedies, Article 32. The fundamental rights are meant for promoting the idea of political democracy. They operate as limitations on the tyranny of executive and arbitrary laws of the legislature. Fundamental rights are meant for promoting the idea of political democracy. They operate as limitations on the tyranny of the executive and arbitrary laws of the legislature. They are justiciable in nature, that is, they are enforceable by the courts for their violation. The aggrieved person can directly go to the Supreme Court, which can issue the writs of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto for the restoration of his rights. However, the fundamental rights are not absolute and subject to reasonable restrictions. Further, they are not sacrosanct and can be curtailed or repealed by the Parliament through a Constitutional Amendment Act. They can also be suspended during the operation of national emergency, except the right guaranteed by Article 20 and 21. Directive Principles of State Policy. According to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the Directive Principles of State Policy is a novel feature of the Indian Constitution. They are enumerated in Part 4 of the Constitution. They can be classified into three broad categories: socialistic, Gandhian, and liberal intellectual. The directive principles are meant for promoting the ideal of social and economic democracy. They seek to establish a welfare state in India. However, unlike the fundamental right, the directives are non-justiciable in nature, that is, they are not enforceable by courts for their violation, yet the Constitution itself declared that these principles are fundamental in the governance of the country, and it shall be the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws. Hence, they impose a moral obligation on the state authorities for the application, but the real force sanction behind them is political, that is, public opinion. In the Minerva Mills case, 1980, Supreme Court held that the Indian Constitution is founded on the bedrock of the balance between fundamental rights and directive principles. Fundamental duties. The original constitution did not provide for fundamental duties of the citizens. They were added during the operation of internal emergency 1975-77 by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976 on the recommendation of the Swaran Singh Committee. The 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002 added one more fundamental duty, Part 4A of the Constitution, which consists of only one article, Article 51A. The 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002 added one more fundamental duty, Part 4A of the Constitution, which consists only one article, 51A. It specifies 11 fundamental duties, viz. To respect the Constitution, national flag and national anthem, to protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of the country, to promote the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all people, to preserve the rich heritage of a composite culture, and so on. The fundamental duties serve as a reminder to citizens that while enjoying their rights, they have also to be quite conscious of duties they owe to their country, their society, and to their fellow citizens. However, like the directive principles, the duties are also non justiciable in nature. A secular state. The Constitution of India stands for a secular state, hence, it does not uphold any particular religion as the official religion of the Indian states. The following provisions of the Constitution reveal the secular character of Indian states. The term secular was added to preamble of Indian Constitution by 42nd Constitution Amendment Act of 1976. The preamble secures to all citizens of India liberty of belief, faith, and worship. The state shall not deny to any person equality before the law or equal protection of laws. Article 14. The state shall not discriminate against any citizen on the grounds of religion. Article 15. Equality of opportunity for all citizens in matter of public employment. Article 16. All persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience and right to freely profess, practice, and propagate any religion. Article 25. Every religious denomination or any of its sections shall have the right to manage its religious affairs. Article 26. No person shall be compelled to pay any taxes for promotion of a particular religion. Article 27. No religious instruction shall be provided in any educational institution maintained by the state. Article 28. Any section of the citizens shall have the right to conserve its distinct language, script, or culture. Article 29. All minorities shall have the right to establish and administer educational institution of their choice. Article 30. The state shall endeavour to secure for all citizens a uniform civil code. Article 44. The Western concept of secularism connotes a complete separation between the religion, the church, and the state, the politics. This negative concept of secularism is inapplicable in Indian situation where the society is multi-religious. Hence, the Indian constitution embodies the positive concept of secularism, that is giving equal respect to all religions or protecting all religions equally. Moreover, the constitution has also established the old system of communal representation, that is reservation of seats in the legislature on the basis of religion. However, it provides for a temporary reservation of seats for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes to ensure adequate representation to them. Universal adult franchise. The Indian Constitution adopts universal adult franchise as a basis of elections to the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies. Every citizen who is not less than 18 years of age has a right to vote without any discrimination of caste, race, religion, sex, literacy, wealth, and so on. The voting age was reduced to 18 years from 21 years in 1989 by the 61st Constitution Amendment Act of 1988. The introduction of universal franchise by constitution makers was a bold experiment and highly remarkable in view of vast size of the country, its huge population, high poverty, social inequality, and overwhelming illiteracy. Universal franchise make democracy broad-based, enhances the self-respect and prestige of common people, upholds the principle of equality, enables minorities to protect their interests, and opens up new hopes and vistas for weaker sections. Single citizenship. Though the Indian constitution is federal and envisages a dual polity, center and state, it provides only a single citizenship, that is Indian citizenship. In countries like USA, on the other hand, each person is not a citizen of USA, but also a citizen of the particular state to which he belongs. Thus, he owes allegiance to both and enjoys dual sets of rights, one conferred by national government and another by state government. In India, all citizens, irrespective of the state in which they are born or reside, enjoy the same political and civil rights of citizenship all over the country, and no discrimination is made between them. Despite the constitutional provision for a single citizenship and uniform rights for all the people, India has been witnessing the communal riots, class conflicts, caste war, linguistic clashes, and ethical disputes. This means that the cherished goal of constitution makers to build a united and integrated Indian nation has not been fully realized. Independent bodies. The Constitution not only provides for legislative, executive, and judicial organs of the government, center, and state, but also establishes certain independent bodies. They are envisaged by the Constitution as the bulwarks of the democratic system of government in India. These are Election Commission to ensure free and fair elections to the Parliament, State Legislature, Office of President of India, and Office of Vice President of India. Comptroller and Auditor General of India to audit the accounts of central and state government. He acts as the guardian of public purse and comments on the legality and propriety of government expenditure. Union Public Service Commission to conduct examination for recruitment, all India services and high central services and to advise the President on disciplinary matters. The State Public Service Commission in every state to conduct examination for recruitment to state services and to advise the governor on disciplinary matters. The Constitution ensures the independence of these bodies through various provisions like security of tenure, fixed service condition, expenses being charged on the Consolidated Fund of India, and so on. Emergency provisions. The Indian Constitution contains elaborate emergency provisions to enable the President to meet any extraordinary situation effectively. The rationality behind the incorporation of these provisions is to safeguard the sovereignty, unity, integrity, and security of the country. Democratic political system and the Constitution. Constitution envisages three types of emergency, namely national emergency on the ground of war or external aggression or armed rebellion. Article 352. State emergency, president rule on the ground of failure of constitutional machinery in the states. Article 356. Or failure to comply with the directions of the center. Article 365. And financial emergency on the grounds of threat to the financial stability or credit of India. Article 360. During an emergency, the central government becomes all powerful and the states go into total control of the center. It converts the federal structure into unitary one without a formal amendment of the constitution. This kind of transformation of the political system from federal during normal times to unitary during the emergency is a unique feature of the Indian constitution. Three-tier government. Originally, the Indian constitution, like any other federal constitution, provided for dual polity and contained provisions with regard to the organization and powers of the center and states. Later, the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 have added a third tier of government, that is local, which is not founded in any other constitution of the world. The 73rd Amendment Act of 1992 gave constitutional recognitions to panchayats, rural local governments, by adding a new Part 9 and a new Schedule 11 to the constitution. Similarly, 74th Amendment Act of 1992 gave constitutional recognition to the municipalities, urban local government, by adding a new Part 9A and a new Schedule 12 to the constitution. Cooperative societies. The 97th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2011 gave a constitutional status and protection to the cooperative society in the context. It made the following three changes in the Constitution. It made the right to form cooperative societies a fundamental right. Article 19. It included a new directive principles of state policy and promotion of cooperative society. Article 43B. It added a new Part 9B in the constitution, which is entitled the Cooperative Society, Article 243ZH to Article 243ZT. New Part 9B contains various provisions to ensure that a cooperative society in the constitution functions in a democratic, professional, autonomous and economically sound manner. It empowers the parliament in respect of multi-state cooperative society in the state legislature in respect of other cooperative society to make the appropriate law. Constitution of India at a glance. Union and its territory, Part 1, Article 1 to 4. Part 2, Citizenship, Article 5 to 11. Part 3, Fundamental Rights, Article 12 to 35. Fourth part, Directive Principles of State Policy, Article 36 to 51. 4A, Fundamental Duties, 51A. 5. Union Government, 52 to 151. Chapter 1, Executive. Chapter 2, Parliament. Chapter 3, Legislative Powers of President. Chapter 4, Union Judiciary. Chapter 5, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. 6 State Government, Part 6 State Government, Chapter 1 General, Chapter 2 Executive, Chapter 3 State Legislature, Chapter 4 Legislative Power of Governor, Chapter 5 the High Court, Chapter 6 Subordinate Court. Part 7 is State and Part B of the first schedule deleted. Part 8 Union Territory. Part 9 the Panchayats. Part 9A Municipalities. Part 9B Cooperative Society. Part 10 Schedule and Tribal Areas. Part 11 Relationship between Union and State. Chapter 1 Legislative Relation. Chapter 2 Administrative Relation. Part 12 Finance, Property, Contracts and Suits. Part 13 Trade, Commerce and Intercourse within Territory of India. Part 14 Services under Union and State. Part 14 8 Tribunals. Part 15 Election. Part 16 Special Provisions relating to certain classes. Part 17 Official Language. Part 18 Emergency Provision. Part 19 Miscellaneous. Part 20 Amendment of the Constitution. Part 21 Temporary, Transitional and Special Provisions. Part 22 Short Title Commencement Authoritative Text in Hindi and Repeals. Sources of the Constitution at a glance. Government of India Act of 1935, Federal Scheme, Office of Governor, Judiciary, Public Service Commission, Emergency Provision and Administrative Details. British Constitution, Parliamentary Government, Rule of Law, Legislative Procedure, Single Citizenship, Cabinet System, Prerogative Rights, Parliamentary Privileges and Bicameralism. US Constitution, Fundamental Rights, Independence of Judiciary, Judicial Review, Impeachment of President, Removal of Supreme Court and High Court Judges, and Post of Vice President. Irish Constitution, Directive Principles of State Policy, Nomination of Members to Rajya Sabha and Method of Election of President. Canadian Constitution, Federation with a strong centre, vesting of residual power in the centre, appointment of state governors by the centre and advisory jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Australian Constitution, concurrent list, freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse, and joint sitting of two houses of parliament. Weimar Constitution of Germany, suspension of fundamental rights during emergency. Soviet Constitution, fundamental duties and ideas of justice, social, economic, and political in the preamble. French Constitution, republic and the ideals of liberty, equality, fraternity in the preamble. South African Constitution, procedure for amendment of constitution and election of members of Rajya Sabha. Japanese Constitution, procedure established by law.